struggle with this all the time, and it's funny because the the reality is right in front of you, and what it is people hear from clinicians. They'll say, if you want to drive the horse, you got to get back to the horse's drive line. And so what people do, it's kind of a comedy of errors. They're always doing this, trying to get back to the drive line. How many times have you seen that?
Oh, more than a few.
And here's the funny thing about it. Here's the clue. As soon as I get 45 degrees right here, watch his nose, right?
Mm-hmm.
There. They do it every time. And there it is. There's a spot that's about 45 degrees off the shoulder where they always turn their nose.
Mm-hmm.
So what to do with that? What do you do with that? Well, we know what not to do with it, and that is trying to get back to the drive line, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the cool thing about it is, what if you found that spot where they curved around you, and then you drove them around you?
Mm-hmm.
And that's all the centering is. And I'm doing the same thing to Don that he did with his mama.
Mm-hmm.
They orbit around their mama. And so Tom Dorrance made that observation. And so this is kind of an exercise that he developed, and he showed that to Ray Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
And go ahead. I'll do one more thing with him before I put the saddle on.
You don't need to saddle him, Mark.
Okay. So there's another thing that Ray Hunt did with all his horses, and it was kind of interesting dynamic.
Oh, that is magnificent.
And it was this.
Uh-huh.
And so I make it inconvenient for him to be anywhere else except for right here. And if I could get him
Now, if you could just get your leg over his back.
well, so I've been sitting side saddle on him on the fence.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And he's got a little bit of a short fuse. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't give you a lot of warning about him. You know, every horse is a little bit different, and I've learned to kind of feel his tonus,
Uh-huh.
the back muscles, and to see where he is. You see where his ears are? They're both pointed back at me, listening to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to have when I'm riding.
Yeah.
Is the horse has got, he's also pretty relaxed. He's got his head down below his withers.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling his muscle on his back, and I also watch to see how often he blinks, because he surprised me a few times when I first started working with him, where he's got a leg cocked and his head is down, and he's literally saying, "I'm fine, really, I'm okay."
But I'm not really.
And then I would kind of do something more, and he'd say, "Nope, I'm not fine." And it was a pretty short fuse, but now I've started to read it a little bit better, and I've noticed that if he's not blinking pretty regularly, and I can feel the tightness, even though his neck might be down, if I feel any tightness in his back right here, it's we've all felt that when the horse is about ready to explode.
Oh, yeah.
It feels like a powder keg. That's what he feels like, but it's just it's a precursor to that. Anyway, so this is one thing that Ray Hunt, actually this is how Ray Hunt met Tom Dorrance, was this little thing here. He called it fence work. And the whole idea is that instead of climbing on the horse and cranking their head around so he doesn't, blow up on you, you basically say, well, there's no reason for you to blow up at all.
Yeah.
So I associate me being up here in the same position I'd be riding him with comfort. And if I do something that causes him concern, right?
You found a sweet spot, Mark.
I bet I did. if I do something that causes him a little concern, first he'd get real concerned about this. He didn't like it. He's like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
But if he doesn't like something that I'm doing and he might move away, right? Then he'll let me know. He'll say, hey, this is too much. Now his head went up a little bit. And his back got a little bit harder. I can feel the muscles get. So I got his attention. He's not thrilled about this, but he hasn't moved away. And if he did move away, right, then I would just move him back and forth.
Yeah.
And I'll do something maybe that'll cause him to move away. I don't know. So note to self: don't pat my hat when I'm on him.
Yeah.
Until we can take care of this. So he moved away, so I just make it inconvenient for him to move away. And he says, gosh, moving away didn't work out so well for me. It did make the hat go away, but now I have this to deal with. It also works on this right here. Whoa. Works on the whoa.
Great.
And so he realizes that when I say the W word, he's like, oh my God, I've been waiting for that word.
Yeah.
And this puts in a really good stop on a horse. And that's what I'll do is I might mess around with more for my hat. I'm gonna love on him. And by the way, I'm loving on him with my fingers closed like a mother's tongue. You notice I'm not patting him, I'm scratching him. Big long strokes. That actually releases endorphins, and it lowers their heart rate by as much as 20%, but the mean is 12%, according to a University of Kentucky Veterinary School of Medicine article.
Yeah.
And these strokes right here, they knew that horses love it, but they didn't know why or how. And that was kind of the essence of this study.
Yeah.
So he moved away when I did the hat, so then I might do it again. And I might do it a few more times, and pretty soon, maybe his head will go up and he'll say, maybe going away is not the best deal for me.
Yep. You get so much more with patience and kindness than you do with trying to force them to do anything.
You can't force a horse to
I
do.
know.
Here's the thing. You can force a domestic horse to do stuff. The one thing I learned about Mustangs, they're almost like mules. You just can't make them do stuff. You have to ask them, and you got to arrange things so that they do what you want, and it's kind of their idea. Because, I learned the hard way. You start picking a fight, you're going to lose. They're going to win, whether they're on the ground or you're in the saddle. They're going to win, and you're going to lose. And I just don't want to go there anymore. So, I'll do it one more time and see what he does. You can see there's already a little bit of a difference there.
A big difference.
And the other thing that's kind of interesting about this dynamic is you notice that he's not moving away.
Yeah.
That means when I get on the horse, when I get on him, I don't want the horse moving away. And a very common problem people have with their horses is they get on their horse and the horse moves away.
Yeah.
Well, if they did this, horse won't move away. Whoa. I did this little thing with him, and then I did a little other thing. We'll see what he does. So you can get on him, or I can ask him to come up by kind of creating some energy and having him come to me, like this. get them on that. I teach all my horses to side pass up to me. And the kind of a fun deal about that is if they know that, then this is a little bit of a parlor trick, but you'll please indulge me. So my hands down low means side pass away from me. No, over here, bud. There you go. Good boy. We're still working on the details.
Yeah.
There's no practical implication. There's nothing useful about that in the saddle work. The other thing I've been doing is riding him from the ground. So if I ride him from the ground, it looks kind of like this. So my right arm, my right leg, and my rib cage is my left leg. And I'm trying to match my footsteps with something they call mirroring.
Uh-huh.
Because it helps relax the horse and let them know that we're kind of dancing together. And if I want them to stop, I'll stop in the same way I would if I were riding them. Whoa. That itch. Or I can do a single rein stop with them, and I'll show you the other thing. Whoa. And if he doesn't stop, I'll do that. And then we'll get the neck rein in here.
Oh.
Good boy. And he's not too fond of yielding his front end. Most horses aren't. And I think I need to work a little bit more on that. We'll do the neck rein in this direction. There's one. There's 2, 3, 4. Looking for that crossover. Good boy. Just so when I put the reins on his neck, he'll, move around a little bit. This looks like a silly game, but until you go to a cowboy challenge where they make you do stuff, it actually does a lot of good. I'm trying not to pull him with the rope.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just looking at that foot, asking that foot to move.
There.
There you go.
And the whole idea is to try to get him connected, me with his foot.
Uh-huh.
And so I talked about throwing energy with the rope. I should be able to throw energy just with my finger. So just getting him connected with, energy projection. Like I want that right hind foot to go back, and then I want his left hind to go underneath.
Uh-huh.
And so all that stuff just kind of, you start to get a better connection with the horse when you just play with their feet a little bit. Because if you think about it, that's kind of what they do with each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
They'll say, hey, I want you to move that foot. Move it over here now. Thank you. He absolutely loves affection too. I use a lot of positive reinforcement with him.
Mm-hmm.
He'll close his eyes,
Yeah.
lower his head.
Oh yeah. He loves
Just
it.
relax right into that.
I'm delighted that crate saddle fits him even better than it fits Mesquite, which is kind of ironic because the lady is having a hell of a time trying to find a saddle that fits Mesquite. I said, yeah, welcome to the wonderful world of Mustangs.
Yeah.
They're put together by a committee, right? You know what's interesting about this Mustangs? A saddle maker told me this, is that it used to be back in the, well, here's what they said. They said basically starting about in the mid 80s, they weren't selling as many semi-quarter tree saddles because all these horses were getting wider and wider. And so they stopped, a lot of saddle makers basically phased out semi-quarter trees. It's really hard to find one nowadays. And what they call a semi-quarter now is not a semi-quarter of yesteryear. Well, what the saddle maker told me is he said, about the only time you're gonna really see semi-quarter tree is on a Mustang because they're old stock. And what's interesting is he's pretty narrow. When you compare his back to a quarter horse, you can really see the difference. And he fits that semi-quarter tree beautifully, really nice. And I've seen a lot of Mustangs that fit semi-quarter tree, and you put the wide saddles on them, and they don't sit right on them.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to get nowadays. Especially now, because they've back-ordered everything.
But our old saddles didn't fit him.
Huh?
Our old saddles didn't fit him. Well, no, that isn't
That was
true.
Riata.
That was Riata.
Yeah, we didn't try any of your saddles on him. I can say one of those saddles was a really, really close fit,